Hello, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and how are you doing today? Let's quickly confirm that we are on the same page. So if you can see my screen and you can hear my voice clearly, kindly type in hi in the comment section so that we can get the session started. So if you can see my screen and you can hear my voice clearly, kindly type in hi in the comment section so that we can get the session started. So let's see what we have here. Okay, good morning, Innocent Babe. Thank you very much. Well, I'm doing well. Trust you had a wonderful weekend. Okay, Carrie, good morning. Thank you. Dylan, good morning. Yes, thank you. All right, 201-959. All right, so I will take this as a confirmation that we are good to go. So I'm so excited to welcome you to yet another promising session on the Extra and Speed Live Hub. My name is Sheriff Daramola, and in the next 1 hour, I shall be taking you on a trading journey where we shall be evaluating the financial markets using technical parameters to identify trading opportunities lining up for us today. Well, today is the first day of the week, and as usual, we are going to be taking random pairs, after which we are going to be monitoring these pairs as the week runs by. So, this is the very best opportunity if you have any pair, any commodity, or cryptocurrency options, whatever it is that you want us to look at. This is the right time for you to drop in your um your instruments in the comment section so that we can include these into our watch list for the week. So with that being said, we want to be diving into the chart right now so that we can see what is going on in the market at the moment. However, it's important that we look at the economic calendar as there are series of macroeconomic events we want to be looking at during the week. These events will is definitely going to be having a major impact on price movement. So let's pull out the economic calendar here and let's see. So I'm trying to load up. So here we have on Monday, that is in 5 hours from now, we have the ISM services PMI. And from consensus here, there is an expectation that we might be having a dip uh, compared to the 554.4 we had last month. So let's see how this is going to play out for the USD. Then we have on Wednesday, we have the JPY, the gross domestic product, coming up on that day as well. So these are one of the pairs that we shall be monitoring for this week. Then we have on Friday the publication from the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index. Also, an high impact event to watch out for the week. So with that being said, let's dive into the charts. Let's see what is going on in the market right now. Now, the first pair we are going to be looking at today is obviously the US oil. And on the US oil, I have a situation running here already, but let's quickly run through an holistic perspective of what is really going on in this market. The US oil was a commodity that gave us some profit last week as we were able to take advantage of the buy opportunity right around the $74 level, which took us to the $82 area and gave us about close to 700 pips in profit for last week. And so as we head into the new week today, what is going to be our expectation on this commodity? Well, looking at what we have here, we can see that price action has been caught within a consolidation phase here in the last 2 months, as price has been caught within the $93.50 level here and the $76, $78 area where we have our demand zone at this point. So we have been witnessing this consolidation phase within the structure, hereby emphasizing the indecision in this market right now. However, when we look into the current structure here and look at what has been happening around the demand zone here in the last 3 weeks here, we can see we have also started witnessing buying pressure around that same area, an area which has a memory for buying power. Look at what happened here in the month of September, and close to this area again during the first week of the month of September, we saw buying pressure from that same area. So with the buy pressure continuing again into the later part of last month, stroke the early days of this month, I'm of the opinion that we might be having a counter trend opportunity. And this is going to be as a result of a technical expectation, in the sense that price broke down the bullish trend line, which has been holding buying pressure since the beginning of the year, the same level, which also the $85 level, which has been a key determinant of price action in the last couple of months here. So we have a confluence around here which was broken, and when from a technical standpoint, whenever we have a breakdown of a structure, there is a tendency that price might likely come back, do a retest of the structure. It could be the $85 level or the bullish trend line, which was broken, to incite another wave of bearish momentum. However, if we have a breakout of that structure to the upside, then we might be looking forward to adding more position to our existing trade. So at this point in time, this is the scenario we have here. And if we look at what has been happening here during the later part of last week, we started seeing selling pressure around the $82.50 level, which we need to take into consideration too, as well as we head into the New York session today. And if we look to as far as the 21st, I think a couple of weeks ago, we saw selling pressure from that same area as well. So we need further confirmation around this area that buyers are very strong at this point. So we want to be seeing a breakout of that $82.50 level for us to be comfortable in our buy position. So let's see what is going on around this area. Let's see how participants in this market is relating to the current structure around here on our lower time frame, and we shall be using whatever structure we identify on the lower time frame to make a decision for the week. So now going down to our lower time frame, and we shall be visiting the 1 hour time frame, and let's see what we have here on the 1 hour time frame. Hold on a second. I'm trying to, okay, so here we are. Hold on a second, please. I'm trying to load up my So here we are on the 1 hour time frame, and let me quickly run through. Let me delete all this so that we can have a better perspective of what is going on here. Sorry, I'm trying to. So this is what we have here on the 1 hour time frame. And looking at how price action started this week, we can see that price is within a channel. First of all, that's the first thing we are going to be observing here. Though we had a huge gap here at the beginning of the week, we have this huge gap giving us a sign that we might be having the bullish momentum as we head into the new week. Now, we saw a situation where price was caught within the $82 level and the $80.50 area before we started seeing this bullish momentum that started a couple of hours ago, which finally led to the breakout of the $81 area. So I had a buy stop right above the $81 level, hoping that if this bullish momentum continues here, then I want to be seeing price break above the $81 level to incite another wave of bullish momentum to the upside. So we should be having a take profit target sitting at around the $85 level. Remember how important that level is on the daily time frame, which I showed you. It's a very important key structure. So we have our take profit target around that area for the meantime. Let's see how price action will be relating to that current structure. If we might be having selling pressure right below that level to incite a bearish momentum, or we could be having a breakout of that structure where a retest of structure should be confirming a bullish momentum at this point. So this is one of the scenarios that I would likely be looking forward to for this week. So this is one of the scenarios I will be looking forward to for this week. Now, in addition to this bullish expectation that we have here, one thing I would like to state here is this. If we look at the structure we have here since last week, we can see that price has been on a bearish momentum. And as a result of this, we had this bearish trend line figured out. Don't know why my chart is taking some time to... So I think I will have to switch my network here. I have so give me a moment, please. Let me quickly do some switching so that we can have a better experience. All right, so here we go. I think we have a better one now. So this is the situation we have here. We have been witnessing this bearish momentum since the beginning, since last week. I think about 2 weeks now, we have been witnessing this bearish momentum. However, price broke out of that bearish trend line during the course of last week trading session to give us a signal that that bearish trend line is no longer strong enough to hold selling pressure at that particular point in time. So we saw price come back into the $82.50 level. So this was the level I shared with you on the daily time frame, where I said we have been witnessing selling pressure right below that $82.50 level to emphasize some selling power around that area. So as the way things are going right now, a further breakout of the $82 level, $82.50 level should be giving us further confirmation that the bullish momentum is here to stay. So if a breakout retest of the $82.50 level happens, we want to be thinking of extending our TP target to somewhere around the $89 area. So this is what I'll be looking forward to. So if price moves above that structure, we extend our TP target to somewhere around the $89 area, locking our profit right below the $85 level as price breaks out the $85 area for this week. So that is the scenario we are looking forward to at this point. However, if at any point in time we see a situation where price continues to the downside, breaks down this $79.50 level, which also shares a confluence with this bullish trend line here. Remember, we had this bullish trend line figured out last week. So if we have price break down that bullish trend line, then we might be seeing this as a bearish signal, after which a retest of structure should be inciting a further move to the downside at this point. So these are my views here on the US oil. So for those who are already in the buy position, kudos to you for being on standby. And for those who have missed out on this opportunity, I will be advising us to wait for price action to break out of the $82.50 area to give us that leverage to hard or join this potential rally to the upside. So we have a key level at the $82 level, which has been holding selling pressure since last week. So we want to see how price action relates to that structure Like I said, a breakout of that structure should give us a leverage to join that rally to the upside. So that is my view there on the US oil. If you have any questions regarding what I just discussed here, feel free to drop your inquiries in the comment section. And let's see how I can be of help in that regard. All right. So moving on to the next pair here. So I will be moving on to the next option, which is the US tech. And on the US tech, okay, Innocent Bay, kindly confirm this okay now. I just switched my internet service. Kindly confirm everything is good now. We have a good reception now. All right. So I need some confirmation that things are okay now, so that I know we are on the same page. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Innocent Babe. I just switched my router to a better reception. I'm sorry for that. So let's quickly run through the holistic perspective on the US tech. Let's see what is happening on the daily time frame, after which we are going to be using structure here to determine what's next our line of action is going to be like. So now looking at the daily time frame on the US tech, it's very obvious that price action has been on a bearish momentum since the beginning of the year. And as a result of this, we had this bearish trend line figured out. So we had to connect the series of lower highs here, which gave us that resultant bearish trend line. And this trend line has been holding selling pressure since the beginning of the year. However, something interesting happened here during the month of July, the month of June/July, as price action, as we saw sellers were finding it very difficult to push below the $11,000 level. And what happened here was that buyers came in to take over the market, pushing price to the upside. And the same thing happened here in the month of September stroke the early days of the month of October, as we saw another buy pressure around this area. However, it's important we note how weak the bullish momentum was here, as we saw that as soon as price got into the $11,700 level, we started seeing selling pressure around this area, which further pushed the demand zone back into the $10,500 level. However, during the second week of the month of November, we saw this bullish engulfing candle, which took price above the structure, breaking out of the $11,700 level. And since on the 11th of November till the later part of last week trading session, we were witnessing a consolidation phase right within the 11,500 and the 11,000. Let me bring this out a little further so we can see around the $11,900 level. So between the 11,900 and the 11,500, we have been witnessing a consolidation phase around that area to emphasize the indecision in this market. In addition to the fact that there has been an indecision here for like 2 weeks here, it's important to note how important the 11,700 level is. So we saw price form a consolidation phase around that level, and then when we have something like this from a technical standpoint, we should be expecting that a breakout or a breakdown of that structure should be giving us a signal of where price might be going to. So on Wednesday last week, we saw this engulfing candle which broke out of the 11,900. So at this point in time, is this going to be a signal that buyers have come to stay, that price might likely continue to the upside? That is one scenario that we are going to be looking forward to. Or will this breakout here turn out to be a false breakout where we could be seeing selling momentum come in at the breakdown of the $11,900 level, where a retest of structure might bring price back into the steepy target we identified here after taking into consideration this impulsive move that started at the beginning of the month of November. So when we bring out our Fibonacci retracement tool here, running it through that impulse leg, we had the situation here where between the 50 and the 78.6% as an area to look out for. Take profit target if a selling opportunity comes in at this area. So now, in order to have a better perspective into what is really going on here, it's important that we see how participants in this market is relating to the current structure right above the $11,900 level to further know if price will be going to the upside for this week, probably come into the bearish trend line, or are we going to be having a reversal pattern that will send price crashing further to the downside. So in order to do this, we want to scale down to the lower time frame. We want to see what is really going on around here in order to make a decision for today. So going down to the 1 hour time frame, what do we have here on the 1 hour time frame? So hold on a second. So let's see. So let's see what's happening on the lower time frame. Okay, so here we are on the 1 hour time frame, and we want to see what has been happening here since the beginning of the week. Now, we have the $11,900 level here. So what I will be doing here, this is the channel where price was during the later part of last week. We saw this channel here, a consolidation phase here, further emphasizing the indecision in the market before we saw this engulfing candle that took price into the TP target we identified on Friday. So we want to see how participants is relating to the structure here. Now, if we zoom into this current structure, the first thing we observe here is that we have been witnessing a consolidation phase between the, at this point in time, I'll be calling this the $12,000 level. So we have the $12,000 level here. Then we have the support level of that channel here at the 11,000. I think 960 is most appropriate. So 11,960. So I'll be deleting this for the sake of clarity so that then we want to emphasize this one. This one is the 11,900 level, which we identified on the time frame. So let's bring that into 1,900. Let's have this around here. So this is what we have here since the beginning of the week. We saw that price has been caught within a channel. And whenever we have a channel like this, we want to remain patient to wait out for signals in the form of either a breakout of that channel or a breakdown of the channel to give us that leverage to join either a rally or decline at this point. Now, with the look of things now, looking at what has been happening here in the last 1, 2, 3, 4 hours now, we can see we have traces of selling momentum coming in here as we saw the breakdown of the $11,960 level. So at this point in time, I will be suggesting that selling right below the 11,960 is looking very promising here. So we should be having something like selling opportunity right below that structure with our stop loss somewhere around the resistant level of that channel, after which our take profit target remains within the $11,700 level, which we identified on the daily time frame. Let me bring that into the screen so that we can see it clearly. So we have the $11,700 level around this area. So this is what we are going to be looking out for this week. So we continue to look out for selling pressure right below this level in such a way that we might be seeing something like this, breakdown retest of that structure to push price to the downside. And if a further breakdown of the $11,900 level happens, followed by selling pressure below that structure, then we want to be adding more position to our existing trade and at the same time moving our stop loss accordingly to lock in some profit. So that is what we are going to be looking forward to sell the US tech. However, we need to also take into consideration the other possibility that could happen here, just in case price does not go to the downside and we start seeing a bullish momentum coming in at this point. So what we are going to be looking forward to just in case price climbs up in such a way that it breaks out of the $12,000 level with an engulfing candle where price closes above that structure, then we want to be looking forward to a retest of structure followed by buying pressure on our lower time frame, then we could join the rally to the upside. So we have a very simple setup here on the US Tech, which is a channel which is between the $12,000 level and the 11,960. And what I have stated here is we are going to be looking forward to either a breakdown retest of structure to join the decline to the downside, or a breakout retest of structure to join the rally to the upside. So these are the scenarios we shall be looking forward to on the US Tech. So let's get ourselves prepared just in case any of this happens at this point in time. If you have any questions, feel free to drop your inquiries in the comment section, and let's see how I can be of help in that regard. So let me quickly run through the chart and see what is happening. I'll be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to read through the charts and see if there are any questions before we move on to the next pair. So we have 412 here. Good morning, 412. Okay, thank you, Skondbeji, for confirming that. Good. Okay, Steamroller, how are you doing today? Good morning. I'm just seeing you. Thank you for that confirmation. All right, Mario 513, good morning. 432, good morning. And 587, good morning to you as well. All right, in the absence of no questions, let's move on to the next pair. So the next pair I'm going to be treating today is going to be the XAUUSD, that is the gold. And on the gold, I was able to share something here during the early hours of today. But let's quickly do an holistic perspective here. Let's see what's going on the daily time frame. And look at what we have here on the daily time frame. We have a very simple setup here on the daily time frame. And the first thing you will observe on the daily time frame is that price action has been on a long-term bearish momentum here. As you can see, since the month of March, we have been witnessing lower highs. And as a result of this, we were able to connect the series of lower highs here to give us that result and bearish trend line. However, the breakout of the trend line here, coupled with that key level at the 1,680 level, incited a bullish momentum, which took price back into the $1,800 level. And if you look at the structure very well, you will see how important the $1,800 level has been since the beginning of the year. Look at what happened here at the beginning of the year. I think between the month of December and the month of February, we saw how the $1,800 zone was holding buying pressure in this market. We saw the same thing happen here in the month of May. We saw buying pressure around this area. Then in the month of June again, we saw buying pressure, but the pressure here wasn't strong enough to push price to the upside, as it was met with stiff resistance from the sellers, which finally led to the breakdown of the $1,800 level in the month of July. And since the breakdown happened in the month of July, we saw price come back to do a retest of structure in the month of August. And since then, price has been trading below the $1,800 level to further emphasize the strength of the sellers at this point. Now, if you look at the structure since the beginning of the year, we can say the first half of the year, it was a bullish momentum. People were buying at the $1,800 level, finding that area cheap enough before the breakdown of that structure happened. And the late second half of the year, we saw selling momentum right below the $1,800 level. So what this simply means is that those who took price to the upside here was sold to make some profit, and that finally led to the breakdown of the structure. And one thing that we noticed here in the last 3 weeks is that price has come back into the $1,800 level. As you can see here, during the later part of last week, we saw our price came back into that structure, and coming back into that structure, an area which has been holding strong selling niche in the past. We saw it happen here in the month of July. We saw it happen here again in the month of August. And as a result of this, I was able to identify this area as a strong selling niche where we shall be looking forward to selling opportunities if we start seeing reversal patterns around this area on our lower time frame. So you will agree with me that we are at a very critical point in the market right now as price comes back into that $1,800 level. And one thing we want to be looking out for here are two possible options from this point. So the first scenario we might be looking forward to at this point is a situation where we might be having a trend continuation pattern around here that might break out of that structure to give us a bullish signal, where a retest to structure could further give us confirmation to add more position to our existing trade. However, if that does not happen and we start seeing a situation where a reversal pattern continue to evolve on our lower time frame, followed by selling pressure right below the $1,800 level, we want to be looking out to sell the XAU USD. And we will be looking at probably the $1,740 level as TP target, or the $1,680 level as TP target, probably in anticipation of another wave of bullish momentum. So in order to have a better perspective into what is going on here, we want to be scaling down to the lower time frame. Let's see how participants in this market is going to be relating to the current structure around the $1,800 level during the early hours of the week before making a decision on what our next line of action will be. So scaling down to the 1 hour time frame, we want to see how participants in this market is relating to the $1,800 level here. So this is what we have here on the 1 hour time frame, and I shared this on my platform this morning, where we noticed selling pressure around the 1,805 and $1,800 level during the later part of last week. As we saw, following this impulsive move to the upside, we started seeing selling pressure right around the 1,805 and the $1,800 level, which pushed price to this area. And then during the early hours of this week, we saw a situation where the week started on a bullish note. And this is what we saw at the beginning of the week. We saw price started at around the $1,795 level. That's somewhere around here. This is where price started this week. And then we saw this engulfing candle, which took price into the $1,810 level. And since price got into the $1,810 level, we started seeing certain pressure around this area. And I said something here on my public platform when I was able to identify this channel, which is within the 1,810 and the 1,808 area. And this channel is characterized by selling pressure, as we can see this sharp rejection of the $1,810 level. And one thing I said is, if price breaks down, retests the $1,808 level, we want downside. And in fact, price has moved significantly well in that direction, as we have over 1,300 pips, 1,400 pips in our favor in that regard. So for those who took advantage of this opportunity, kudos to you for being on standby. So my advice right now is to move your stop loss accordingly, and I think somewhere right above the $1,800 level seems most appropriate to be moving the stop loss to lock in some profits at this point. Now, for those who had missed out on this opportunity that we took advantage of here, well, let's see if the market is going to be presenting us with a second chance to join that decline to the downside. And in addition to this, we shouldn't ignore this support level here. Remember, this is where price started this week at around the 1,795. So for the sake of clarity, I will be labeling this. So we label 1,795. So that is the area we have here. So that's the support level for this week, and it's going to be a major yardstick for selling opportunities here. So if price breaks down that support level, then we want to be adding more position to our existing trade. And if we start seeing buying pressure above this level, then we might be looking forward to buying above the 1,800. That's if price breaks above the 1,800 to join the rally to the upside here. So for those who are already in this trade right from the $1,808 level, I'll be advising you to move your stop loss, and somewhere right above the $1,800 level is most appropriate at this point. So this is what I'll be looking forward to here. Move your stop loss right above the structure. Let's give some room for price action to read. Then if a breakdown of the 1,795 happens here, that is a breakdown of the structure happens, we want to be selling. Sell breakdown test of that structure to the downside. But if price comes back into this 1,800 level, probably somewhere around here, and we start seeing selling pressure right below that structure, we want to be adding more position or joining that decline from that area. So we have two areas we want to be joining a selling opportunity here. So let's see what happens during the New York session today. If bullish momentum comes in, price comes into the 1,800. Look out for sell pressure on your lower time frame right below the $1,800 level. Then we want to be selling the XAUUSD from there. However, if price breaks down the 1,795, that is the support level where price started this week, a retest of structure should be inciting another wave of bearish momentum at this point. So these are the scenarios we shall be looking forward to this week. Then another thing I would like to share with you here on the 1 hour time frame is this bullish trend line, which has been holding by pressure since last week. So we want to, as you can see here, after connecting the series of higher lows here, I was able to identify that bullish trend line. So let's see if price is going to go as far as coming back into that bullish trend line, an area which also shares a confluence with the $1,786 level. So if price comes within that structure and we start seeing buying pressure around that area, then I'm of the opinion that price might likely respect that bullish trend line one more time to send another wave of bullish momentum to the upside. However, if price breaks down that 1,786 and the bullish trend line here, then I want to be seeing this as a bearish signal. And if a retest to structure happens, followed by sudden pressure on the lower time frame, we want to be joining that decline to the downside. So these are the scenarios we shall be looking forward to on the XAUUSD. I hope we'll be on standby so that we can take advantage of that move when it finally happens. So that is that on the XAUUSD. If you have any questions, feel free to drop your inquiries in the comment section, and let's see how I can be of help in that regard. Now, moving on, the next pair we are going to be looking at is the USDJPY. And on the USDJPY, I already have a position running here. And let's quickly look at what is happening on the daily time frame. Remember, we have been monitoring this pair for a while now. And if you look at the first thing we observe on the daily time frame is that price action has been on a long-term bullish momentum here. And as a result of this, we were able to connect the series of higher lows here to give us that resultant bullish trend line, as you can see on your screen right now. However, something interesting happened in the month of August. We saw a reversal pattern sharing a confluence with that bullish trend line. And we had something like a double bottom structure before the breakout of the neckline of that reversal pattern happened. So we saw the breakout of that structure to incite a bullish momentum here. And from a technical standpoint, whenever we have a breakout of structure, we expect that at one point in time, price is likely going to come back to do a retest of structure to further incite another wave of bullish momentum. However, it took over 3 months for price action to come back into the neckline area at the 135 Japanese yen level. Now, price has broken the bullish trend line here, and price has come back to test that neckline area at the 135 area. So there are two things we are going to be looking forward to at this point. One, we are going to take into consideration the breakdown of this bullish trend line. And secondly, we are going to take into consideration where price is at right now, which is the neckline area at the 135 Japanese yen level, an area which has also been a major determinant of price action and during the later part of this year. Now, if we take the breakdown of the bullish trend line into consideration here, we should be expecting that price might likely come back to do a retest of that bullish trend line, which might likely send price go to the downside. It's a likelihood that price might go to the downside at that area. And if on the contrary, price breaks out of that structure, then that might incite another wave of bullish momentum. So we have one scenario figured out now. The fact that price has come back to do a retest of this neckline. So we might be seeing a counter trend opportunity that might push price back into this trend line, at least for the meantime here. Have our take profit target around that area. That is one scenario. Then the other scenario is that we could be having a situation where we could have a trend continuation pattern around the neckline area here that might incite a breakdown retest of structure on lower time frame to send price crashing further to the downside. So in order to have a better understanding of what is really going on here, We want to be scaling down to the lower time frame. Let's see how participants in this market is relating to the current structure at around the 135 Japanese yen level to decide what next our line of action is going to be. So when we scale down to the 1 hour time frame, we begin to see things more clearly here. And one thing I did here on the 1 hour time frame, the first thing I did here was to quickly identify the 135 Japanese yen level, which you can see on your screen right now. So we have the, hold on a second, I'm trying to, okay, so let's delete this. So we had the 135 Japanese yen level figured out here, as you can see. And then the other thing I was able to do here is to identify this bullish trend line, which is going to be one of the yardstick, our yardstick for trading activities for this week. So now looking at how price has been relating to the current structure here since the beginning of the week, so this is where price started the week at around here, at around the 134.790 level. And then we saw a retest of the support level here at the 134.150. So there was a little consolidation phase at the beginning of the week before we finally saw the breakout of the 134.790 level to signal a possible bullish momentum for this week. So breaking out of the channel here, also respecting this bullish trend line, I'm of the opinion that we might be in for a counter trend opportunity. And if we look closely into the structure following the impulsive move that started last week to the downside here from the 139.500 level, if you look closely, we can see that the structure here appears to be evolving into a reversal pattern in the form of a double bottom structure, and this might likely send price go to the upside. So everything is falling in line with a possible bullish momentum for this week. So we want to be getting ready to join that rally to the upside. So I personally took advantage of this buy opportunity here with the hopes that price will break out of the 134.790, which has happened already. Price has broken out of the 134.790 level. So for those who took advantage of this move, kudos to you for being on standby. And for those who missed out on this opportunity, well, let's see if the market is going to be giving us a second chance to join this rally. So what I'll be looking forward to at this point, since we already have a breakout of the 134.790, let's wait out for price to come back, do a retest of the structure, followed by buying pressure on our lower time frame to join that rally to the upside. And if you look closely, the 134.790 level also shares a confluence with this bullish trend line here. So if this happens, then we want to be looking forward to joining that rally to the upside. So that is one scenario we want to be looking out for at this point. Now, the second scenario for bullish momentum here is if we take into consideration this reversal pattern that is evolving right now, this double bottom structure, well, the next thing we want to be doing is to identify a neckline that we shall be using as our yardstick for trading activity during this week. So if we bring out our line chart now for the sake of specific points of connection here, we should be having our the neckline of this reversal pattern at around the $135.500 level. So for the sake of clarity, we shall be labeling this 135.500. So we have the 135.500 level figured out here. So I'll be placing this at the top right hand side of my screen. So we have the neckline here. So a breakout of the neckline should further confirm that a bullish momentum is very valid here. So what we shall be looking forward to is price breaking out of the 135. So if you had missed out from this opportunity this morning, well, let's see a breakout retest of structure on our lower time frame, then we could join the rally to the upside. Then if we join the rally to the upside, where will our take profit target be? Well, if you look at the structure very well and look at what has been happening here since the later part of last month, we can see we have a strong bearish momentum here. And as a result of that, we had this bearish trend line, the black dotted line on your screen here. So we had this bearish trend line figured out. So at this point in time, I will be suggesting that we should be having our take profit target somewhere around that area. And it shares a confluence with the 139.500. So for the week, let's have our take profit target around the 139.500 area. Let's see how price action will relate to that structure. If a breakout of that structure happens, then that's another signal. Then we might want to be thinking of adding more position to our existing buy trade here if price breaks out of that structure. And if we start seeing reversal patterns below that structure, then this might incite a bearish momentum, hereby respecting that bearish trend line one more time to send price crashing to the downside. So these are the scenarios we shall be looking forward to at this point. So let's prepare ourselves to be able to take advantage of that opportunity when it finally happens. Now, the other scenario that we might be looking forward to sell the USDJPY, that is if price does not continue above the $135,500 level, what we shall be looking forward to sell the USDJPY is if price breaks down that bullish trend line here. That is this temporary bullish trend line that I was able to figure out this morning around this level. So if a breakdown of that structure happens, which also shares a confluence with the 134.150, then we want to be seeing this as a signal that sellers are still very strong in this market. So if that happens, I want us to wait for a retest of structure for us to join this decline. So we're going to be looking for a retest of structure and most importantly, selling pressure below the bullish trend line here to join the decline to the downside. And the reason why I stated here that we want to be looking forward to a retest of structure followed by selling pressure here is simply because of the fact that we have a low here. And if price does not break below this previous low, we don't want to be thinking of selling this one. So even if we have a breakdown of the structure, there is a likelihood that price might still go to the upside from that area. So for the sake of being conscious here, a further breakdown of that structure should further emphasize the strength of the sellers at this point. But if this does not happen, we continue to look out for buying momentum on the USDJPY. So this is the scenario we shall be looking forward to for this week. Let's see how price action plays out in the next 24 hours. And definitely we shall be coming back here tomorrow to do a review of how price has been playing since the beginning of the week. So that is that on the USDJPY. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to drop your inquiries in the comment section and let's see how I can be of help in that regard. So that is that on the USDJPY. So let's move on to, let me take one more pair, and that is going to be the US. No, let me take AUDUSD. I want to take AUDUSD for this week. And AUDUSD daily time frame, first of all, let's see what is really going on here. And if we look at the AUDUSD on the daily time frame, well, the first thing we observe on the daily time frame on the AUDUSD is the fact that price has been on a downtrend since the beginning of the year. And as a result of that, we have this bearish trend line figured out at this point. Now, in addition to the bearish trend line that we have here is the very important key level at the 0.67000 level. And if you look into the past, if you go to as far back as the month of July of this year, we can see how that level has been a major determinant of price action. Look at what happened here in the month of July. We saw buy pressure coming from that level. We saw the same thing happen here in the month of September. And during the later part of September, again, we saw attempt by the buyers to push price to the upside. But this failed woefully as it led to the breakdown of the 0.6700 level. And since price broke down that structure, in fact, since the month of September to the month of November, price has been trading below that structure, further emphasizing the strength of the sellers at this point. However, during the second week of the month of November, we saw a little breakout of that structure, which also shares a confluence with the bearish trend line. So at this point in time, we witnessed a consolidation phase here. In fact, this was a huge one, which lasted about 3 weeks, a consolidation phase around here to emphasize the indecision in this market. And one thing we want to be looking at is, considering the long-term bearish momentum here, are we going to be having selling pressure come in? That is, the US dollar continue its bullish run in such a way that price continue to the downside, breaks down the 0.6700 level, and continue to the downside from there. That is one scenario. Or are we going to be having a situation where price breaks out of the 0.67800, buy pressure above this level, then this might incite another wave of bullish momentum. So what we want to be doing here is to scale down to the lower time frame. Let's see how participants in this market has been relating to the current structure here since the beginning of this week. So in order to do this, we want to be scaling down to the 1 hour time frame. And when we go down to the 1 hour time frame, what can we see here? So right on the 1 hour time frame, we are on the 1 hour time frame right now, and this is the 0.67800 level, which I was able to show you on the daily time frame. And one thing we observe here is that price has been caught within a channel right within the 0.678 and the 0.68500 level. So for the sake of clarity, let's identify the resistance level of this channel. So we have it at 0.68500 level, which is the resistance level of this channel. And so whenever we are in a channel like this, we want to remain patient to wait out for signals in the form of either a breakout or a breakdown of this channel to give us where a signal where price might be heading towards during this week. Now, in addition to this channel here, let me quickly show you something on the, I think, 2 or 3 hours time frame. Now, on the 3 hours time frame here, look at what has been happening here since the beginning of the month of November. We can see price has been on a bullish momentum, and I was able to connect this series of higher lows here to give us that resultant bullish trend line, as you can see here. Now, one thing I want to call your attention to here is this. Look at the first touch of that bullish trend line. We saw this impulsive move, and the second touch brought a huge impulse leg, which was larger than the previous one. Then the third touch here, you can see the impulse, the bullish move started reducing, giving us a clue that selling pressure is coming in. Sellers are coming. Then we saw the third one here. It wasn't strong enough. As soon as price got into the 0.68500 level, we started seeing selling pressure from that level. So at this point in time, I'm thinking that we might be having a bearish momentum coming in anytime soon, which might be a retracement of the impulse, the bullish impulse move we have been witnessing since the beginning of the month of November. And as a result of this, we shall be using the 0.67800 as a beautiful yardstick to trade any selling opportunity at this point. And if you look at how important the 0.678 is, it also shares a confluence with this bullish trend line here. So one thing we're going to be looking forward to for this week to sell the AUDUSD is if price breaks down the 0.67800 level, a retest to structure on our lower time frame followed by selling pressure, then we want to be joining that decline to the downside with a take profit target sitting around the 0.64500, which will be dovetailing to about 350 pips thereabout in the meantime. However, if price does not break down to 0.67800, but instead it retests this bullish trend line, followed by buying pressure right above the 0.67800, we want to be thinking of buying the USD. Now, look at how important the 0.67800 is and the bullish trend line. So this is going to be the yardstick for trading opportunities for this week. So anything below the 0.67800 should be screaming sell for us, and anything above the bullish trend line here should be screaming buy for us at this point. So now if price does not go that far and price continue to go to the upside in such a way that price breaks out of the 0.68500 level, taking out all the sell position here to give liquidity for buy momentum at this point, then we want to be thinking of buying the AUDUSD at the site of buy pressure right above the 0.68500 on our lower time frame. So these are the two perspectives we shall be looking forward to trading the AUDUSD for this week. So we already have a channel between the 0.68500 and the 0.67800 level, and we also have a bullish trend line we shall be using for our trading activity. So below the bullish trend line is something that we are looking for selling opportunity, and above the bullish trend line is a buy position. We should be thinking of buy position at this point, but at this point in time, it's still looking very bearish to me. As we can see, we saw signs of bearish momentum here during the early hours, during the later part of last week trading session. especially after the NFP event. We saw this move to the downside. So we might be having a breakdown retest of the 0.67800 to send price crashing to the downside. So please be on standby to catch that move when it happens. And if a breakout of the 0.68500 happens, retest of structure should be inciting another wave of bullish momentum. So that is that on the AUDUSD, and on this note, I want to call it a day. But before I do, let's do a quick recap of what we have been talking about since the beginning of the session. And this also for those who missed out at the beginning of the session. So the first commodity we looked at today is the US oil, and on the US oil, we're already in the bullish momentum running at this point in time. And I told you that our TP target is going to be around the $85 level. So, and I told you that if price breaks out of the $82.50 level here, that's a bullish signal. A retest of structure should give us another opportunity to add more position to our existing trade. And if this happens and a buy momentum comes in right above the $82.50 level, I have told you that I will be extending my TP to the $89 level. Looking forward to a breakout retest of the $85 level to add more position to our existing trade. So that is my view here on the US oil. Then the other perspective here is if this happens during the week, that price breaks down the $79.50 level, retest of structure, then we might be looking for selling opportunities here. But at this point in time, I'm not sure that will happen. But let's see if it happens. Let's get ourselves prepared to take advantage of that move when it happens. Then we moved on to talk about the option US Tech. And on the US Tech, I was able to identify a channel right within the $12,000 level and the 11,960, where price has been consolidating within since the beginning of the week. So what we are going to be looking out for here is a signal. The signal coming in form of either a breakdown retest of the 11,960 so that we can sell with TP target around this $11,700 level, or the contrary, if price breaks out of the $12,000 level, retest of structure, we're looking out to buy an opportunity on the US Tech. So it's a very simple setup we have here. So we are looking for breakout retest of structure to join either a rally or decline at this point. Then we moved on to talk about the gold, where I've been profitable already on this. What I told you, we took advantage of this bearish momentum right below the $1,808 level. And one thing I said for those who missed out on that opportunity is that we want to remain patient here. Let's see how price action is going to relate to the 1,795. This level is the level where price started this week at. So we want to see how price is going to relate to that level. So if we start seeing buying pressure here, then we might be seeing a retracement back into either the 1,008 or the 1,805 level, where we're going to be looking out for selling pressure on our lower time frame to join the decline to the downside. And if price does not go that far, and instead we have a breakdown of the 1,795 retest on our lower time frame, we want to be adding more position to our existing trade. And if you're not in this trade yet, you want to be joining that decline to the downside. Then we went on to talk about the USDJPY, which we already witnessing a buying pressure going on at this point in time. And for those who are already in this trade, move your stop loss to somewhere above the 134.790. And for those who are not in this trade yet, well, I said we should remain patient and wait for price action to give us another opportunity to join. So we have two scenarios that we are looking forward to join this potential rally. Well, the first one is a retest of the 134.790, a level which also shares a confluence with this bullish trend line that I was able to identify here. So if that happens, buy pressure on our lower time frame should incite an opportunity to join the rally to the upside. Now, the second scenario to buy the USDJPY is if price does not go down, and instead we see price continue to climb to the upside, breaking out of the 135.500 level. Remember how important that level is. I showed you something here that we have a structure that is evolving into a reversal pattern in the form of a double bottom structure. We have the second touch here. Price was unable to break the previous low. Then price is heading towards the neckline of that reversal pattern at the 135.500 level. So if a break out of that structure, you could get ready right above this level to join a retest of structure, giving us further confirmation that a trend continuation to the upside is valid at this point. So this is what we are going to be looking forward to. So we have our take profit target at the 139.500 level, a level which shares a confluence with that bearish trend line, which has been holding selling pressure since the later part of the month of October. So this is what we are looking forward to buy the USDJPY. However, I stated here that if should price break down this bullish trend line in such a way that price breaks the previous structure here, then the retest of structure should give us an opportunity to join the decline to the downside. So these are the scenarios we are looking forward to this week. So I hope we get prepared to join this, be on standby to take advantage of this opportunity. So I was able to simulate all the possible scenarios that might likely happen based on the current structures we have on all the pairs we deliberated on today. So on this note, I want to wish you best of luck during the New York session today, and I look forward to seeing you same time tomorrow, 10 a.m. UTC, 11 a.m. West African time. Let's come again here on the Extreme Speed Live Hub to um, review the market and get ourselves prepared for the New York session tomorrow. So do have a wonderful evening, and bye bye.